Welcome to the Woodward Shoutouts Deep Dive Podcast, where we dive deeper into the stories that shape our town and its past. Today's episode is based on the article, The Man Who Built Woodward and Then Vanished. We're going to try and uncover how one visionary helped build this town's foundation and then, well, mysterioususly disappeared, leaving behind questions, legacy, and definitely some unanswered chapters in Woodward's history. It's really quite a story, isn't it? His absence almost feels, I don't know, bigger than his presence.
It really does. You know, we're always looking for the hard facts, the proof of who built what, but Woodward's origin, it's just messy. It started as pure chaos. So maybe it makes sense that its foundation was laid by someone who, well, didn't want to be pinned down by history.
Okay, let's dig into that chaos then. Because if you try to picture Woodward, Oklahoma, back in the late 1880s, you have to forget everything you see today. Think open prairie, dust, and then bam, the screech of a steam engine. April 1887. Woodward wasn't really a town yet. It was just a rough railway stop, hacked out of nowhere.
Right. For the Southern Kansas Railway, which was part of Santa Fe, they needed a spot, specifically to service the huge cattle drives moving across the frontier. It was all about the economy first. That's really key to understanding its whole vibe.
Commerce before civilization.
Exactly. And because it was just sort of thrown together for trade, it instantly got this incredibly wild, almost lawless feel. The article mentions tents quickly turning into timber buildings, sure, but the focus was pure survival and excess.
Excess feels like an understatement here.
Yeah.
The picture painted is, well, it's pure frontier craziness. We're talking 23 saloons, 15 brothels,
Right.
often before noon.
Right.
Can you imagine the mindset, the level of, grit needed just to exist there?
Absolutely. It was volatile. Fortunes made and lost on a single cattle drive. And then just 6 years later, 1893, you get the land run, which wasn't just people claiming land. It was this chaos-charged stampede, thousands racing for territory.
Yeah, that land run seems like the real turning point. It moves Woodward from just a temporary camp to something, well, permanent.
Yeah.
Even if it was still wild. And right in the middle of all this, the saloons, the cattle guys, the settlers rushing in, that's where we find him. Richard Woodward, known to everyone as Uncle Dick.
Mm-hmm. And he was the complete opposite of the railroad types, the executives. His background, buffalo hunter, teamster, saddle maker, like classic Old West stuff. The article says he had the grit of a railroad spike, which sounds about right.
He was boots on the ground.
Totally. He was running goods before the town even really existed, guiding wagons, stitching saddles for the cowboys, helping those first settlers put down roots. Real tangible work.
He wasn't drawing the maps, he was carrying them. Which makes that whole fight over the town's name so interesting.
Exactly. Even the name itself is like this little historical battlefield.
Yeah.
Shows you the class divide on the frontier, officially. Named for Brinton W. Woodward, a Santa Fe Railroad official. A bigwig. Probably never spent a single dusty night there, but, you know, he signed the papers.
But the actual people there, the homesteaders, the ones living it.
The ones with more dust than blood in their veins, as the article puts it.
Yeah.
They swore it belonged to Richard Uncle Dick Woodward. They felt the name should be earned, you know, through sweat, not just assigned by some distant office.
That really gets to a core question about history, doesn't it? Who deserves the credit?
Mm-hmm. The power structure that enables it, or the person on the ground doing the work.
The town was named by one.
But built by the other. And you can actually see that conflict in Woodward's layout.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does a naming dispute show up in, bricks and mortar? Or I guess timber and mud back then?
It comes down to this fantastic surveying mistake. Just classic frontier stuff. When they first laid out the town, the surveyors messed up so badly that for a little while there were two Woodwards, completely separate.
Oh, wait. Two towns.
Yeah, Woodward A and Woodward B, basically. Each with its own railroad depot, its own saloons, and its own residents arguing over which one was the real Woodward.
Wow. Okay, two Woodwards. Competing depots. Probably double the saloon brawls.
You'd imagine.
That must have been a nightmare for the railroad, for anyone trying to do business, so they had to fix it, right? Merge them.
They had to try. But merging two established competing settlements, not easy, especially with those different factions. You had the railroad side and then the, let's say, more entrenched local side.
The Uncle Dick supporters versus the Brinton Woodward side, maybe?
Possibly reflected in that, yeah. So they tried to draw one main street to connect the two centers, unify things.
And the result of this?
A compromise.
The result is a main street that, well, it refuses to run straight. Even today, the article perfectly describes it. It slants like a drunken cowboy's swagger.
Ha! That's brilliant.
It really is. It's like this silent, physical reminder of that chaotic, messy, slightly crooked beginning. Every time you drive down it, you're basically seeing the ghost of that 1890s argument and merger. That's incredible. A surveying error from over a century ago, still visible today. But, okay, as the town starts to, solidify, even crookedly, and the name argument is still simmering, the man himself, Uncle Dick, he just disappears.
And that's the real core of the mystery, isn't it? The way he left, the abruptness. He was so central, so foundational, stitching saddles, running goods, helping build things up. And then he was there 1 minute.
And the next.
Gone. Poof. Just vanished.
And what's really baffling, according to the article, is how clean the exit was. Usually even minor figures back then leave something. A newspaper mention, a debt record, a grave.
Yeah.
Even a crazy rumor.
Right.
But for Richard Woodward, nothing. No final ledger entry, no headline. The article even jokes. Not even a scandalous affair involving a school teacher and a runaway cow. Just silence.
Yeah, that lack of any trace is, well, it's highly suggestive. And what's interesting is how the article connects this to the frontier mentality itself. Disappearing back then, it was almost a feature, not a bug.
You're not a bug. Okay.
Well, think about it. Identity was fluid. No social security numbers. Record keeping was spotty at best. If you needed a fresh start, escape debt, a bad situation, just shed your passing. You could often just move 50 miles down the road, pick a new name.
So Uncle Dick might have been the embodiment of that. The type of person who thrives in the wild open space.
Yeah.
But maybe feels trapped once things get too settled. Once the fences go up.
That's definitely the leading idea. He fits the type. The kind of person who excels at carving a place out of nothing. They do the initial dangerous, hard work, but once it gets civilized, too many rules, too settled.
They feel suffocated.
Exactly. They can't stand the walls, the routines, so they just move on. Vanish into the next empty horizon looking for that freedom again.
Which leads us straight into the main theories about what actually happened. The article lays out 3, right? And they feel less like factual accounts and more like, well, different ways to imagine his ending, because there's no proof.
Precisely. The first one is the most romantic, maybe. That he just kept going, wandered deeper into the frontier looking for wilder places, maybe further west before they got tamed too. He died free, essentially.
Pursuing the horizon. Okay, and the second theory.
Much less romantic, darker, probably more realistic for the time. That he just died quietly, alone maybe, and was simply overlooked.
Overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The town's still booming, focused on growth, survival. A single guy, especially a working man without strong official ties, passes away quietly, maybe from exposure, injury, illness, just outside town. It's sadly plausible that nobody really noticed or recorded it. They were too busy building.
Wow. That's a sobering thought. What does it say about a place if it can forget the person who helped build it?
It says something about the brutal pragmatism of the frontier, I suppose.
And then there's the third theory, the hopeful one.
Right, the one the article frames kind of humorously. That he actually struck it rich somehow, totally unrelated to Woodward, bought himself a nice cabin somewhere quiet, and just lived out his days sipping coffee and, muttering about kids these days.
Oh, a much nicer ending for him. Away from the chaos he helped start.
Definitely. But regardless of which theory feels right to you, the conclusion is the same.
We'll never really know.
We'll never really know what happened to Richard Uncle Dick Woodward. And that uncertainty. That's why he still feels present. In a way, like a ghost in the town's story.
Yeah, his legacy isn't a statue or a plaque.
No, it's the question mark. It's the missing final chapter. And it forces us, I think, to recognize that communities are built by people whose names might not be on the official documents, or even on a gravestone. Woodward is there because of people like him. Tough, grounded, restless.
And his work does remain, doesn't it? That crooked street, the fact the town exists where it does, as a hub. Without him, or that type of person, maybe Woodward wouldn't have made it through that chaotic birth.
Exactly. And that is a powerful legacy, even if it's an invisible one. It pushes us to look beyond the official story, past the bigwigs, and see the rough, maybe unnamed figures who laid the groundwork and then just faded away.
So next time you drive past one of the older buildings in Woodward, maybe you'll ask, who helped build this and where did they go?
Thank you for listening to the Woodward Shoutouts Deep Dive podcast. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to keep uncovering more of Woodward's hidden history, be sure to subscribe at woodwardshoutouts.com. Every week, we bring you the stories that connect our past, our present, and our community.